Hello students and welcome to quarter 4 in advanced chemistry. In this quarter we will be discussing a branch of chemistry called biological chemistry, and from its name it will be a field of chemistry that discusses the various chemical reactions and the various chemical substances and chemicals that exist inside of an organism. We will be talking about three topics during this quarter. Section 1 is carbohydrates and lipids, and it will be divided into two sessions, a session for carbohydrates and a session for lipids. Section 2 will discuss amino acids and proteins, and also we will have two sessions, a session for amino acids and a session for proteins, and section 3 will discuss nucleic acids, and also we will have two sessions for this section. One will include DNA and the other will include RNA. So today our topic will be carbohydrates. As we were saying, biochemistry is the study of the chemicals and reactions that happen in living things. Biochemical compounds are often large and complex organic molecules. These compounds that exist in living things, they are usually large and complex organic molecules, but their chemistry, the way they behave, is very similar to the smaller organic molecules that we have been discussing in organic chemistry. These are the four biomolecules. These are the four main players in this quarter: carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids. Carbohydrates are made of units, lipids are made of units, proteins are made of units, and nucleic acids are also made of repeating units. What did we call the unit that is repeated to form a bigger molecule? We called it a monomer. And what was the name of the big molecule? It was a polymer. So all of these biomolecules are polymers made of smaller monomers. Carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are molecules that are made of, from its name, carbon, hydrogen, and 8 usually means oxygen. The thing about this composition, it always occurs in 1 to 2 to 1 ratio. The function of carbohydrates is provide nutrients to the cells of living things. It provides energy to the cells of living things. Examples are sugars, starches, and cellulose, which is incorporated in the cell wall of a plant cell. Here it's not used for energy, but it is used for structure. But sugars and starches are used for energy. Carbohydrates, of course, as we already know, are produced by plants through a process called photosynthesis. Carbohydrates provide nearly all of the energy that is available in most plant-derived food. As we were saying, here we have a carbohydrate called glycogen, another called cellulose, another called starch. We can see that all of these molecules are big and complicated and are made of smaller particles or units. As we said, they are called monomers. What is the name of the small unit in case of carbohydrates? They are called monosaccharides. So this is a monosaccharide, 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 monosaccharide. When monosaccharides combine together, they form polymers. And depending on their structure, they will have their name. So all carbohydrates consist of the following molecules. They're either monosaccharide, containing only one sugar molecule, disaccharide, which means it has two sugar molecules, or a polysaccharide, just like these ones, which contains many sugar molecules. So carbohydrates are one of three types. Monosaccharides, the simple, only one sugar molecule. Disaccharides, a little bit more complicated, two sugar molecules. Now, mister, do trisaccharides exist? Yes. And they will be when you have three sugar molecules connected together. And finally, we have polysaccharides, which is the sabha, as we were describing polymers before, and they contain many sugar molecules. These are some examples of carbohydrates. An example of monosaccharide is glucose and fructose. Fructose is the sugar found in fruits. Glucose is the sugar that is found in humans, the blood sugar. Disaccharides, two sugar molecules connected together. An example is sucrose. Sucrose is table sugar, the sugar that we use for tea, for juice, for whatever. For polysaccharides, we have three examples. Chitin, and this polysaccharide exists in insect exoskeleton, the exoskeleton of an insect, the outer protective layer for an insect. Amylose, which is a form of energy storage in plants. Glycogen, which is a form of energy storage in animals. And we also have starch, which is a form of energy storage also in plants. So, first things first, monosaccharides. Monosaccharides, as we were saying, the simple sugar that is the basic subunit of a carbohydrate. A single monosaccharide molecule, a single sugar molecule, it's the same meaning, contains 3 to 7 carbon atoms. A monosaccharide compound are typically sweet tasting, sugars, white solids at room temperature, and they are water soluble. The most common monosaccharide, the most common sugar is the glucose, sometimes called dextrose, and also of course fructose. Both have the formula of C6H2O all by 6. Another form is C6H12O6. They have the same formula, but their structural formula differ. This means that they are, yes, isomers. This is glucose and this is fructose. If you count the carbon, the oxygen, and the hydrogen molecules in both, you will find them to be equal. But they are two different compounds. Why? Because of the structural formula difference. You'll find here that this carbon is connected to an OH, but this carbon is connected to a CH2OH. These are examples of monosaccharides, the simplest form of sugar molecule, and the basic subunit that creates more complicated sugars like disaccharides. From its name, disaccharide is a sugar that consists of two sugar units, monosaccharide units, that are joined together. Type. How are they joined together? How are two monosaccharides joined together to form a disaccharide? For this to happen, you must have a condensation reaction. We already took a condensation reaction. Condensation reactions are reactions in which two molecules combine and form a water molecule. So what happens is that in the formation of sucrose, for an example, you will have a molecule of glucose combining with a molecule of fructose, and the sucrose will be formed, which is the combination of these two, and a water molecule will be outed. Here you will have the OH and the H. They will go form the water, and this O will connect these two molecules together, creating an oxygen bridge, as you can see here. So these guys will leave and form water, get out of the system, and these two molecules will connect together using the oxygen, as you can see here. This is called what? A condensation reaction. Condensation reaction يعني two small molecules combined together and they form a bigger molecule, just as we see here, and a water molecule is outed. An example for a disaccharide, as we said, is sucrose. Sucrose has the formula of C12H22O11. A molecule of sucrose forms when a glucose molecule bonds to a fructose molecule, just as we see here. Glucose plus fructose equals sucrose and water. Another example, is lactose. Lactose is when you have galactose and glucose connected together. So if the two monosaccharides are glucose and fructose, you have sucrose. The big one is sucrose. If the two smaller ones are glucose and galactose, then the final result of this bond will be lactose. Another reaction that happens for sugars is if you get sucrose and put it with water, it will decompose back into its original constituents, which are fructose and glucose. This process is called hydrolysis. It's a chemical reaction between water and another molecule to form two or more new substances. Disaccharides and longer chain polysaccharides, more complicated ones, can be broken down into smaller sugar units by hydrolysis. So it's the reverse of this shown reaction. This reaction is going this way, but this is condensation. The reverse is hydrolysis. Perfect. Next we talk about polysaccharides. When many monosaccharides or disaccharides combine in a series of condensation reactions, meaning you are connecting sugar molecules one after the other to create a big chain. This big chain is called a polysaccharide. Poly means many, saccharides mean sugar units. A polysaccharide is a carbohydrate made up of long chains of simple sugars. Examples are cellulose in the cell wall, starch, energy source for plants, glycogen, energy source for animals. They are all polymers of glucose. So all of these are made of glucose. طب يا مستر ايه الفرق بينهم؟ The difference is how they are connected together. As we can see here, if they're connected like this, you have glycogen. If they're connected in a more orderly manner, you have cellulose. If they're connected in a linear pattern, then you have starch. This would be all. I hope you understood. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. Please watch this video before we have our own online session to be able to discuss any problems you have. Thank you. I hope you have a good day.